Hi and welcome to our next department live stream. We're here outside the Health Sciences building. In just 1 minute we're going to go inside and we're going to meet some people to discuss everything that happens in here, all the courses that are available, all the facilities that we have, and there's plenty of people on hand to answer all your questions. So feel free, as always, to comment along as we go and we'll try and answer them. If not during this live broadcast, we can answer them later. A whole team of people dedicated to answering your questions. And if it's not about health sciences and you still want to ask, then just ask anyway, that's okay. And we'll answer it on another occasion. So should we make a move? Are you ready? As you can see, Hope University is covered in snow. We've had snow the past few days and it's really cold. So we're going to go ahead and get inside. So this is our beautiful new Health Sciences building. It's not been open too long. And there's plenty of state-of-the-art facilities. So we can't wait to introduce you to all of our lecturers and academics in here, and they're going to take us around, show us what's what. Okay, we just enter in, here we are. So I think the first person that we're going to meet is Simon. Simon and Caroline, or just Simon? Here we are. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Dr. Simon Mild. I'm the Programme Coordinator, Course Lead for Sport and Exercise Science here at Liverpool Hope.
Great.
I'm going to take you on a look through our brand new laboratories, and you'll also see some of our students doing some work while we're about it.
Great. Should we make a move?
Yeah, this way.
Okay, here we go. So I'll turn you around.
So in here you've got one of our main teaching laboratories, primarily physiology, but we can undertake any aspect of biomechanical and psychology examination here. We've got some of our third year students here doing some of their projects. Closest to us, we've got projects examining the effect of different intensities of exercise on heart rate variability, which is an important parameter related to health. And down the far end, we've got a study examining the effect of different types of training on arterial stiffness, which is again an important parameter of health. You'll see a lot of trolleys that apparently have plastic bags attached to them. We use them for our students to make one of the fundamental measurements, which is oxygen uptake, ventilation, carbon dioxide production, some of the most fundamental measurements in human physiology. Huge space, we can fill this with 25 students, and we've got an identical one on the other side.
Should we just have a look at what these guys are doing a bit closer? It's exciting.
So this is an intermittent protocol they're doing, so they're interspersing high and low intensity efforts.
You can wave if you want to.
So the way we organise things, we have a large classroom base in there where we can fit 50 students, where we can start the students off with the work, give them the initial demands, what we've got to do, and then the students can split off and we have two identical laboratories and they can do their practical work and then come back in here and finish off.
Great. So what would you say the balance is between classroom-based learning and practical-based learning?
We probably do around about a third of our work, practical work, predominantly in these laboratories, which is a high proportion really of what we do. And I think we can offer that high proportion because we're not too big of an institution. And so I can fit the whole course in these laboratories in one go, and most institutions just can't handle that.
Yeah.
And so inevitably you don't have as much work in the laboratories.
Great.
So we're in now our exercise performance lab, with a number of various pieces of equipment that are all essentially designed to make you very, very tired indeed. We have a range of equipment to measure every aspect of physiological function during exercise, from respiratory physiology through to muscle physiology and muscle metabolism over there. This space is a really important space for research, not just for the staff, and I stress this a lot. Every year of students from first year through to postgraduate and into staff use this laboratory space equally. We don't box off certain areas of the department just for staff research. We're all on an equal footing here, so all the equipment is for use for all. And again, that's quite rare in the field. Often in the larger institutions you'll find that there's some areas that are just off limits for undergraduates.
Brilliant. So what's through here?
Here we have our vast biomechanics and performance analysis space.
Show you around.
So we have a complete range of assessment of human movement. You can see just through there we've got a complete suite of motion capture cameras, and we have one of our students here who's been fitted with some little reflective dots, and then our motion capturing cameras will be able to translate that movement and convert it into, if you like, a stick model of the movement. From that we can calculate force and speed. And so it's an enormous space. We've got a double height over there so that we can even do sports such as badminton and such like that require that double height. State of the art, cut all the way through the floor. We've got force plates positioned in 16 possible locations for measuring ground reaction forces during sprint running. Fabulous space that our students use an awful lot, both in their taught course and in their projects. And again, we've got two student projects going on here. Down there we're looking at the effects of bilateral and unilateral training on exercise performance, and attached dots we have asynchronous and synchronous hand cycling research going on, particularly related to disability sport.
Great.
Okay.
So we're moving on.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Caroline Wakefield, and I'm the programme leader for the Sport and Physical Education and the Sports Psychology degrees. So in the Sport and Physical Education degree, we use very similar equipment that have been used in sports science, which I think Simon's just talked about. But in addition to that, we do sports sociology, history, and some of the more practical coaching elements that you would do down in the sports hall, which has also recently been refurbished.
Great.
The sports psychology degree is BPS accredited, so we share that provision with the psychology department to allow that accreditation to occur. And in that, we do all of the things that you would typically associate with sports psychology. And the sports psychology content itself sits across all three of the degrees, so it sits across the sports psychology, sport and physical education, and sports and exercise science degree. In terms of equipment for that, we use a lot of eye tracking equipment. We use the transcranial magnetic stimulator quite regularly, and we have EMG and EEG as well. And all of that equipment is available for the students to use both as part of their teaching and as part of their third year research project. So in addition to staff research, of course, which we use it for as well.
Great. So we're going to go on a little wander.
Yeah, we're going to go back through the other physiology lab, and I think we've headed upstairs to human biology and nutrition.
Do you want to tell us maybe some career opportunities that people might have if they use these facilities and do these courses and finish the degree?
Yeah, of course. A lot of our students opt to go on to further study, so masters, PhD level, a lot of work in applied sport, and quite a large proportion, certainly the sport and physical education students, go on to teach. So they do a 1 year PGC or school's direct year and then become teachers at the end of it.
Great. So what room are we in now?
So this is the second physiology lab. This is directly mirrors the other one that you've just seen the testing in. And so typically what happens is classes meet in the central classroom, do the theory, and then break off into one of the two labs. We do the motor control practicals in here as well, so looking at reaction time, anticipation, and things like visual perception. That all happens in here as well.
Great. So we're heading upstairs?
Yes, you're heading upstairs.
We're saying goodbye to you.
To nutrition and human biology. If you've got any questions, head back down and we'll answer them.
Thank you very much.
All right, nice to see you.
Turn you around. Okay, so we're going to head upstairs. So that's downstairs in our health sciences building. We're going to come back down here in a little bit to see some more equipment, but we're going to go up. We're going to meet Enrique. And Enrique is going to show us around some of the labs up here and tell us some of the facilities that they've got as well. So if you have any questions or if you're interested in finding out what's happening, please bob them on the bottom and we'll answer them as soon as we can. But here we have Enrique. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name is Enrique Salcedo. I'm the lecturer in microbiology in the biosciences department.
You're going to show us around?
Yes, yes.
Where are we headed first?
Well, here we have we call it the research
Attenuate.
Yeah, we call it the research lab, but really research and teaching are pretty much part of one big activity here. This is Matt Smith. This is our lab manager and our professional, one of the professional teachers here. He's busy doing some protein extraction, which is related to some of the research
great.
we run here.
It all looks very expensive in here.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yes, it is, to be fair. Those labs are relatively new. Those are possibly 2 years old. Is it 2 years old by now, Matt? 2 years, the labs?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, about 2-3 years old now. So the labs themselves look new, This is our main research facility. So we have the main central and core facility is what you are seeing here. I might let you to finish right now. All sorts of different types of equipment for different purposes. And
So what would you do in here?
well, the satellite rooms is what give the themes of our research. So this is that's the microbiology room, and that's the molecular biology room, which is supplemented with the cell culture room, and then you have the proteomics room. And all around here is about 2 or 3 themes of research. So one line of research is on antibiotics resistance to antibiotics, mainly from bacteria. And when we have a bit of cancer research, cancer cell lines or cancer cells research, looking into the biology of cancer cells. The students have full access throughout the 3 years of the degree to these facilities. We also run, outside the standard curriculum, we run a summer placement. We run summer placements for research. So students can spend up to 8 weeks with us between June and July. And then obviously they have their own dissertations. So when you come by your 3rd year and you choose to work with us in your dissertation, you will have access to these facilities.
Great.
And they are supplemented. We go to the teaching.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
we supplement obviously all what we got here. What we have been putting together for the teaching labs, which is they are equally resourced. And this is one of the 2 main labs that we have here for our undergrad teaching. Each bench has a stand-alone number of small equipment, so each bench is quite independent. So the students in groups of 3, 4, no more than 5, they have all what they need for the different practicals, and the university have resource all
So
that.
there's more than enough resource for people.
Yes, yes. So the idea is that every student should have actually a hands-on experience. That's
Yeah.
our philosophy.
Yeah.
And our core philosophy is to give them as much practical skills as possible.
Okay.
So when we're working hard in giving them that sort of independence and facilities, and the groups that we can hold here is about up to 25 students. So by the end of each year, it's fair to say every student has had the opportunity to learn and practice certain skills that we think are necessary for what they need to do.
And what career possibilities would it open up, having access to all this?
The main paths have been going into further education. So a lot of students want to go a bit more into master's sort of degrees. And we have had PhD students in the past that are going to PhD. So at the moment, one of our most recent graduates, she's doing a PhD in Edge Hill, straight from here. And then the second line is the private industry.
Mm-hmm.
So the biotech industry is the type of industry that will be looking after graduates with practical skills, for instance.
Great.
And then you have the well, you could call it the public sector, which is the biomedical scientists in the NHS. Is another path that some students take as a biomedical scientist in the NHS, which is certificate and it's a different sort of
Great.
And the last one will be the teaching. And a number of students choose to go into biology teaching or biological sciences teaching, maybe in secondary school.
Yeah.
I would say that the 3 main focal areas where students go and probability. We have a probability rate above 95%. So in the first 6 months of graduation, above 95% of our students
Going to
have a
employment.
placement, either internship or employee.
Great.
So
Good.
Any
So-
more questions from
No,
our white public?
none so far. No, unless you can think of any questions that people may have.
Well, but the employability one is one of them.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of them. The other one is about placements.
Okay.
Students wonder if they can or they have the possibility of having placement throughout the 3 years. Again, here is quite an important part of the experience. So we have our own placements, as we said, we have summer placements here. And then what we do is we proactively try to connect them with mainly with the private sector to have at least one opportunity in the 3 years, mainly in the summertime,
Yeah.
to be exposed to some sort of career opportunity and enhancement, so to speak. The other type of questions students have is more about the intensity of the teaching and how many hours of lecturing, seminars, tutorials. So we run the standard lecturing, seminar, tutorial format that some of them are already familiar with. And the more generic type of question from students is about admissions. So I'm sure the admissions department will have a lot more to say about that. You know.
And if they've got specific questions, they can comment on here, and then we can
it's about
answer them.
What do they need to
What
have
grades
to
and things, yeah.
From here, the grades and all that. For this department, I would say to have at least a science-related A-level or equivalent. Something to do with biology, something to do with chemistry, maths, even we don't mind.
Great. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you? Thanks for giving us your time.
No problem. Right, we're going to go and find Farzad now, who's going to show us some more of our specialist equipment and tell us about the studies that he looks after. So we're going to come around the corner. So this is our nutrition area. And we're going to meet Farzad, I think, around phlebotomy. One second, here we are.
Hello.
Hello, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Farzad Amir Abdullahian, and I am Associate Professor in Nutrition and also acting head of the School of Health Science, deputy head of the School of Health Sciences. Yeah, welcome to our phlebotomy lab.
I'll turn you around and then we can see. Take it away, Farzad.
Yeah, well, that's our phlebotomy lab. It's a normal phlebotomy. In here, what we do, we collect blood samples for looking at biomarkers of health and disease. As you can see from the setting, our patients or clients or participants would usually sit down here and we collect either some venous sample or we get some capillary samples from our client. You will be surprised what can be done with a drop of blood these days. So we have got a couple of machines in here. This one is called LDX, and with a drop of your blood, we would be able to tell you the profile of triglyceride in the blood or the glucose in the blood, and look at the measures of health in there. Here is another equipment which is called Affinion, and Affinion gives us an understanding of HbA1c, which is a measure of prediabetes. So basically, the whole lab in here is gonna give us an understanding of biomarkers of health and disease, and we're very glad to have this facility because we very routinely get people that we actually take blood from and we analyze their biomarkers of health and disease. So that's our phlebotomy lab.
Brilliant.
Right.
So we're going down the stairs now?
We're going to the nutrition lab first,
Okay.
and then we would go to the downstairs lab. Right. We are going to a unit which is called Nutrition Student, and in there we have got labs in metabolism and also in food processing and sensory analysis. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you.
Right. Going to the far end first.
Brilliant.
And here is the food processing lab. It's like a big kitchen, and when you walk in, there are several workstations that our students usually use it to prepare food for a particular scenario that they would like to work on. So they usually work on scenarios such as development of the sport drink, for example.
Okay.
They look at a new recipes or like developing some new food, and then looking at the nutritional quality of what they produce. Or they look at the financial, associations with food and nutrition, and they also look at the sensory and the taste and and the appearance of food and those consumer attributes, to be honest. We are very glad to have this one because we can usually host around 18 students in here, and this is a kind of setup of the lab, and the outfit of the lab as well. That all the students would come in white lab coats, and they usually have a cap and and some apron, and they work in here and develop the food that they would like to develop. Usually, after developing food, they would do some testing on their food. For example, they look at the nutritional quality of the food, or they look at the sensory properties of the food. And when I say about sensory properties of the food, I'm referring to attributes such as taste or color of the food altogether, perception of the food, what makes food edible and attractive. And that's part of the argument about food altogether. When we go further, I can actually show you that this is a prep area that all students would prepare their food here and then serve their panelists who would assess their food. We can go to the sensory analysis lab to look at how the food gets assessed there. And here is a tutorial area that the students would usually
look
sit
at
down.
that view, hey?
Yeah.
That's a good view. So are you one of the panelists, Farzad, when you test the food?
I usually try to be the first panelist.
Yeah, don't blame me. What's your favourite food?
Well, they have developed some remarkable foods in here. Last year, students developed a particular velvet cake that was enriched by vitamin B12. It was very red, but it was absolutely gorgeous. So I felt that was a really...
0 calories as well, was it?
It was... I think on that front, I don't think it was 0, but I felt that it was very innovative because... The idea behind that food was that to make sure that for conditions such as anemia, for example, or for people who are vegan, we try to supply enough vitamin B12 for them. And as a result, students decided to enrich their cake with B12. The problem of B12, cobalamin is a little bit red, and it changes the color of the food, right? But altogether, I think it was a monumental effort to make something, very innovative and as a new product. Usually, students would be able to test their food in this sensory analysis lab, and you're more than welcome to have a look at our sensory analysis.
Right, okay.
So it looks very dark, but in these 8-unit lab, you would be able to look at the color and perception and acceptability of food. So for example, when you look at this unit in here, we have got a little booth that the panelists would sit down here and would usually get food that is served from the other side. Sure. And when the food comes, the panelists would work on some attributes of the food and would rank how food would rank in terms of the desirability or texture or taste or aftertaste, etc. Now the thing that is absolutely innovative in here is that the units could be changed in terms of the color. So we would be able to make it red color or make it green color or blue color, and each unit could be actually controlled from the central panel. So that is a very specific, very special lab in here. Right. We can go to the other lab, which is the lab of metabolism. Yeah. This is the clinical nutrition lab.
I've seen these two boys before. Here they are again. Can't get enough.
We have got several measurements of the health and disease in here. One of them that is very common, very popular, is the assessment of arterial stiffness. We have got an equipment called PWV in here, and PWV looks at the stiffness of the arteries. This is this very small equipment, which is around 16,000 pounds. And it's a very good research equipment for assessing cardiovascular health. Within the lab, we also do have other facilities, such as the big equipment, which is called Quark RMR. This particular equipment looks at the resting energy expenditure. For us, it's quite important to know how much energy our body is consuming when we are doing nothing. So that would be the base of how much energy we would require. And this equipment in particular is quite remarkable in assessing that energy requirement. Now, probably you're going to ask me that how does it happen? How the equipment assesses such things? If we manage to calculate the level of oxygen that we consume and carbon dioxide that we send back to the atmosphere, we would be able to calculate how much heat is produced, and from that we can calculate how much kilocalories we would require, and that would be really useful for weight management.
Yeah.
So I think that is again a very, very dear, pretty expensive equipment, but it's very useful, I think, for the School of Health Sciences. Several students from Sport Exercise Sciences, Nutrition or Bioscience would use the equipment, especially our nutrition students are the ones that are using this equipment more often and are more familiar with the equipment.
We've had the request come through for the lads to explain what's going on. So does anyone want to talk?
Yeah, well, basically just measuring the effect of HIIT training on pulse rate velocity, which is basically the effect of it, basically arterial stiffness. So we'll do like a pre and post and a post training afterwards. So yeah, this is what we're doing now. And after training it'll be at a zero time slot, and then 30 minutes, 45 minutes and an hour after each session.
And does all he have to do is lie down?
Basically, yeah, that's all he has to do.
How's it going?
It's alright, yeah.
Nice one, lads. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Great to see you around.
Coming to the other part of the clinical nutrition lab, we have a focus on assessment of body composition. That's a big part of nutrition for us. Understanding of what are the composition of the body basically, and what are the breakdown of lean body mass, fat mass, or total body water is something quite important for us. And we have got, for example, Tanita bioelectrical impedance analyzer that is a very reliable equipment that is sending a signal and giving us an estimate of the body composition. Our students use that in regular basis, and I think it's quite important to have an idea of the change in fat mass and fat-free mass in individuals who are losing weight or in athletes who are preparing for a game, etc., etc. So, well, when I mentioned that fun equipment, this is a very dear equipment called BotPod.
This looks incredible.
It's like a
looks from a different planet.
It looks like a spaceship.
It does,
spaceship.
yeah.
There you go.
Can I get inside?
By all means, there you go.
Do you want to film me getting inside?
There you go, go on.
It's not going to lock me in, is it?
No, it's not.
Great.
Right.
So what's the BOD-POD?
BOD-POD is golden standard of assessment of body composition, and the technique is a technique which is called densitometry, and the equipment by nature is called air displacement plethysmography. And in this technique, our participant would usually sit down in the BOD-POD with swimming suit. We basically measure weight and height before our participants sit down there, and the equipment gets filled with air. The equipment have an opportunity and ability to basically measure the level of, the density of the body. And from density, we would be able to calculate the breakdown of percentage body fat and lean body mass, because we have got some previous equations that would be, based on these calculations. So the equipment would give us a good understanding of how much fat is inside body and how much muscle is inside body. So this is in terms of the cost of the equipment, we are looking at something in the region of £30,000, right? So it's a very dear equipment, and usually for assessment of the fat mass and lean body mass, I think it's the golden standard. When you look at anything more advanced, I think you should look at some equipment such as DEXA, which we are lucky enough that we have that equipment as well, right? Shall we go and have a look at DEXA?
Let's go.
There you go, we're going to go downstairs.
So, what career opportunities are there if you study in nutrition?
Well, I think nowadays, particularly, the work of nutritionists is getting much more regulated, and we have the Association for Nutrition Register, which is basically a register for the students who would have nutrition studied within the degree. Yeah. And you would be able to work in private sector, you would be able to work in public sector. You look at healthcare in particular, you would be able to work in food industry in particular. Food industry is the one that is usually growing, and I'm always very in favor of working within the food industry. You would be able to work in public health setting in particular, and there is usually some interest in consultation in nutrition, and the sky is your limit, quite a range of opportunities.
Loads of jobs.
I believe I usually tell my students that by the time that people eat, you would have a job.
Okay.
You know? So
Okay.
I think so. I think because it is one that cannot get outdated, to be honest.
Great, because everyone's got to eat.
Everybody's gonna eat, right?
Exactly. So where are we now?
We are in DEXA room, and this equipment, it is a very fancy equipment called dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which is a scanner of the body. Is extremely dear, and it's in the region of probably 90,000 pounds plus. And it's a scanner that sends signal through the body and gives us a very accurate estimate of the body composition. The advantage of this equipment compared to the equipment that you have seen upstairs is that the equipment gives us the breakdown of lean body mass, fat mass, bone in the body, and bone mineral density, right? And the bone mineral density that is assessed by DEXA is practically the golden standard that is measured. So usually the participant would lay down. It's not a very extensive test, probably taking around 10-15 minutes, and in 10-15 minutes you would be able to have a very clear idea of what is happening within the body. Now, the application of that is quite extensive, not only in nutrition, but also in the sports exercise sciences, and also in health sciences, when we are looking at the disease such as osteoporosis, for example, and or when we are looking at sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. So, again, we are very, very lucky to have this exceptional equipment. Not many places in Liverpool do have access to DEXA. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think altogether the body composition package that we have at the School of Health Sciences is pretty unique, I think.
So there's a lot of equipment, a lot of resource, a lot of clever people knowing how to use it as well.
I think our students get a chance to actually to give it a go, learn about the equipment, and in their final year project or in their research project, they would get a chance to also develop their own research projects which are based on these equipment. Just upstairs you have seen some of the sports exercise science students who were assessing arterial stiffness after the HIIT training, and this is just an exemplar, right?
Great.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much for showing us around.
All right, yeah, I'm glad to be of help, yeah.
Okay, see you soon.
See you, bye for now.
Hello. Great, so that's the end of our tour of the Health Sciences building. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any other questions, please feel free to comment even after the video's been posted. We'll be happy to answer them. And also, just to let you know that tomorrow at 12:30, we've got the History and Politics Department live stream. So if that's you, get in tune, put all your questions down there, and we'll answer them as much as we can. So that's it. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.